TG's Rock when we are playing Abzan Traverse here tonight. A couple of minor changes to the deck list. We're on the draw here against Floorfile MTG. Not the strongest hand, but I think we're going to keep it. Gonna kind of hope that we draw, and oh yeah, we're just gonna lose here. Well, that was quick. It's probably, I mean, it might be, that's just the worst. I mean, if it's regular Tron, we're almost certainly just done. If it's Eldrazi Tron, there's a small chance we can win. Game ones are just really rough. I mean, that's part of one of the changes is we're running four Liliana of the Veil on the main to help against Eldrazi Tron. Some lag, I think, here tonight. It's not going to make for very entertaining. Okay, Traverse is maybe okay. Our opponent did go get Urza's Mine, so they're looking to set up Tron. This is going to turn out being a pretty rough keep. Opponent has too many cards for Liliana to really legitimately do much of anything at this point. I think we just want to run out Godless Shrine and cast Lingering Souls here. I know it's less powerful than Tarmogoyf. I suppose if we run out Tarmogoyf here, and our opponent casts Karn, then they might be a little more likely to exile our Tarmogoyf, which means the Lingering Souls could be a little more powerful. Yeah, I think that's the route we're going to go here. Then we'll just hold up the Fatal Push here. If it's an Ugin, we're just going to scoop. Alright, so definitely Eldrazi Tron at this point. Lingering Souls is a pretty good card here in this matchup. And that is why that gets taken. This is going to allow us to wipe their board with a Fatal Push into Liliana, if we so choose. So I think we may actually go Fatal Push into Tarmogoyf here. Kind of anticipating our opponent throwing the Matter Shaper in front. And that's nice, that allows us to save a Liliana of the Veil, potentially for a Reality Smasher. We would have to get rid of the Matter Shaper, but here comes Carney. Small hand, smells like cabbage. This is kind of alright. We can down tick on Matter Shaper, kill the Karn. We also have the ability now to play Flare immediately afterwards as well, which is pretty good. Pretty good. Dismember inbound. So we could have actually protected ourselves there by casting Traverse in advance. Not something I was really considering. That would have put us out of range. Opponent gets Chalice here. Well, it's possible we get the opponent to down tick the Karn here. We do have the ability to turn on Grimflayer, even if they Chalice for X1. I would expect a Chalice for 2 here. Or Chalice, yeah. Chalice for 1. Kind of surprised with that. I think X2, less surprised with that. So I think that's probably just going to be the game then. Opponent kind of ran strong there. We can't do anything with this. Maybe we'll just get a little bit more information about our opponent. Really was no way we were winning that match based on what they had. I think that's good, right? Even if we get like another Liliana here, we're just going to go ahead and concede. Probably would have lost about turn 9. Alright, so onto the sideboard. This will be a little bit more grindy post board. We definitely want Shriekmaw in this matchup, as well as Big Game Hunter. Reclamation Sage is actually pretty good here. Maelstrom Pulse. Damnation for sure. And then if we have space, we're going to bring in the Fulminator Mages. Collective Brutality is fairly bad. Leon of the Last Hope is not really that good. Abrupt Decay is good because of Chalice. Paths are far better than Fatal Push. You know, the goal here is kind of to get under them. Definitely going to pull at least one push. They're also going to attack our graveyard a little bit more, so I am kind of thinking we might want to pull a Traverse here. It also makes Bauble maybe a little bit weaker. We're okay with just the one push. I mean, really, we're just trying to threaten them with our own creatures. Push just helps us get under them a little bit. I think we could pull an Inquisition that's a little weaker than the Thoughtseize. I just don't think we're going to make room for the second Fulminator Mage. I'm not 100% certain that I want the first one. I just don't think it's as good in this matchup. Also not thrilled about the curve here. It's a lot of 3s. Yeah, I think we're just going to go with this. Post board, the matchup's a little bit better. Still not really in our favor. Feel like it becomes a near 50% matchup. Bauble, Fetch, Goyf. It's a good start to what we're looking for. We have a path. I think this is keepable. We'd like to do something a little more than this on turn 1, but bubble ourselves here just to see what we're going to draw. We're probably okay getting that third land. I think I'm alright with that. Treetop Village, we don't need another land at this point, however. I think we're gonna get a... Let's get a green-white land here. Yep. Maelstrom Pulse is all right. Opponent is going to get another Expedition map. into turn 3 Tron. There's just not a whole lot you can do. When Eldrazi Tron hits turn 3 Tron, you're basically boned. I mean, there's just not a whole lot else to do or say. I think we do just have to run out the second Goyf here. We don't necessarily want to. If our opponent is sitting on all his dust again, we're pretty much just going to lose to it. If the opponent goes for a smash, we can just path them right here. Definitely prefer to wait till our opponent's turn though. Or sorry, wait till our turn, so that way we can see what we want to throw away with our Path to Exile here. Definitely think it's better to save the Maelstrom Pulse at this point. I honestly feel like the Forest is the best card to throw here. And then just swing in for 6. At this point, let's see, our opponent still has 6 more mana. We have the choice of pathing and then letting our opponent take. I think since these two cards are so similar, we just let them take whichever one they want and then plan to kill the other one. The risk of this being, if they have a second Thought-Knot Seer, they're going to get both of these cards. Alright, so if they take the path and cast another Thought-Knot Seer, they're going to get the Maelstrom Pulse as well. But if our opponent's that lucky, there's not a whole lot we're going to do about it. So the opponent's still feeling a little defensive. Liliana's a good draw here. There are no creatures in the graveyard, so if we Liliana and they sacrifice the Thought-Knot Seer, our Tarmogoyfs become 4/5s. Still can't attack into the Reality Smasher, but we could double block. But if they sacrifice the Thought-Knot Seer, we do get to draw a card. If they sacrifice the Reality Smasher, keeping the Thought-Knot Seer, then we get 2 4/5s and we get to attack into the Thought-Knot Seer. Traverse is good, but we want to wait till next turn. Ideally, we're going to be able to next turn Maelstrom Pulse this Reality Smasher and then traverse into another threat. We can't really attack for any profit here. So I actually made another mistake there. If we had actually traversed, we would have been able to attack for 10 there. Playing too fast. The opponent really would not have been able to attack back into Liliana, save drawing another phenomenal card. Yep. Painful. So I think here, if they attack, we were just going to let the Liliana go. So here we can actually traverse for Kalitas. Play Kalitas, attack with 2/5/6 Tarmogoyfs. And whatever their blocks are, we're going to get some tokens out of the deal. Or at least a token. Oh no, except we can't. So the problem here with traversing, we're still shy. Oh man, I just feel like that was a terrible mistake. If we're going to traverse there for a land to get our Goyfs big enough, we probably should just hold the Verdant Catacombs as our card to pitch. Play the Swamp. In the end, though, it doesn't really matter. I mean, it matters a little bit. We're still thinning our deck some. I think we're good to just go for the attack here. Yes, no, maybe so. I want to put pressure on them. They're attacking back for 10. I mean, they attack back for 17 if they have another Reality Smasher. I think we just pass here. The Liliana threatens them to the point where they kind of need to be able to put a threat on board. And if they attack into us, we get to control all the blocks. If they want to get rid of the Lily, they have to lose the Smasher and Thought-Knot Seer to do it, which they don't want to do. So I think in the end, we're still better just to sit here. Now that we know they have no cards in hand, however, and the fact that we can down-tick them to make them sacrifice a creature, and we're presenting lethal at that point because we'll have a Planeswalker. Yeah, so I think we're actually just going to make opponent sacrifice a creature. Then we present lethal. They have to block at least one of our creatures. They'll already have lost one. Do draw another land, which is good for them. Would presume a double block. Probably would want to remove the Thought-Knot Seer first, that way we can get a card out of the deal. Definitely not a great card. If the opponent doesn't draw a creature, they cannot attack. It's like a second Reality Smasher. So I may just keep them both back to hold me off of attacking through. Grim Flayer. Fortunately, doesn't really change the equation very much. Even if we trade off our Tarmogoyf to get rid of a Reality Smasher, the Flayer is not going to be able to deal with the Reality Smasher afterwards. So we're kind of in a little bit of a stalemate here. Traverse would be excellent if we could cast it. Not sure if Scavenging Ooze or Kalitas would be better at this point. Opponent draws another land. An Abrupt Decay would be good. Actually, just getting another Tarmogoyf at this point would be pretty huge. Again, nothing of relevance here. Reshaper doesn't do a whole lot. Tarmogoyf, however, does. So actually, Reshaper does a bit here in the fact that now they could block Reality Smasher, Matter Reshaper, and then kill our Grim Flayer. So we actually have to wait another turn here. Hope our opponent fades one more draw step on anything relevant. And then we should be able to swing in with kind of everything next turn. Here comes the All Is Dust. So if we think about this, they can't throw two Reshapers, so they're going to go Reality Smasher, probably throw a Matter Reshaper on each of the Tarmogoyfs as well. Let us get in for 4. They then have 2 Matter Reshapers, but we get how much do they have total? That's 16 points of damage. They have to block one of the Tarmogoyfs. Both of the Tarmogoyfs. Yeah, so I think we attack with everything here. Leave it up onto them to block. I think the most appropriate blocks for them would be Reshaper, or Smasher and Reshaper on each of the Tarmogoyfs, letting the Grim Flayer get through. And that's exactly how we want them. And then hopefully... Okay, so Shriekmaw and Grim Flayer are both good here. We're definitely putting the Inquisition in the graveyard. And I think we put Flayer on top with Shriekmaw on top of that. And the reason here is if we can play Shriekmaw to kill one of their blockers, then Grim Flayer gets 2 more damage over the top of the 2 toughness. Endbringer. Shriekmaw also deals with Endbringer. Fear. Enters the battlefield, destroy target non-artifact, non-black creature. So we're just going to cast this straight up. They've drawn a lot of creatures in a row here, so the assumption is they're not going to draw another one. We do not need to attack with Flayer here. We can trade it off for both of these, but Shriekmaw should be able to... I believe Fear is non-artifact, non-black creature, so either way, both of them present lethal next turn. We have to count on the opponent not drawing another creature here. And they hit another Lance, Seagate Wreckage, so they're going to get a redraw. We're going to lead with combat. Maybe they hit a Dismember, they couldn't use it if they did. Yep. Alright, so we get there. Woo! Don't think we really want to make any changes post-board, especially being on the draw. I mean, it's possible we could bring in Fatal Push or an Inquisition. Inquisition, I could actually see bringing in the Inquisition over the Fulminator Mage there, just to try and get a Chalice out of hand. This is fine. It's not the greatest, but Inquisition to take a Chalice, Scavenging Ooze turn 2. We can set ourselves up to hopefully go big off the Uzi. And perfect. Potentially followed up with a Thoughtseize. Nothing. So we can Thoughtseize though the next turn and take away Karn, which is the bigger threat. In case they already had a tower. I think we just take the turn to Treetop Village and we take the Thoughtseize. Or Thoughtseize the Karn, rather. It's the biggest threat to us. We can play Scavenging Ooze next turn. Actually, probably end up Lingering Souls at this point. They have another Temple, so Lingering Souls might not be as good due to Endbringer. Though two is still quite a bit. We can get our opponent to waste their, I don't want to say waste their turn, but spend their turns pinging Lingering Souls tokens. I think that's a win for us. Buys us the time we need, at least, in theory. So I would assume we're going to see Eldrazi Temple into Endbringer this turn, unless they draw another Tron land. Chalice for 1. Okay. So we'll just go ahead and jam Tarmogoyf Lingering Souls here. running low on time, so getting a little hang up here is making me nervous. Supposedly, I don't know, maybe the opponent's considering whether or not probably disappointed that they didn't play Chalice on 2. Probably don't really see the value in them really playing Chalice on 1 anyway. Yeah, it looks like our opponent lost connection to the game, so we're just waiting for them to come back. Supposedly there was supposed to be a fix to make this less likely. Don't feel like I really noticed any fewer connection losses with that patch. While we're waiting for the opponent to come back, just a heads up for anybody who's into it, have my Twitter handle down in the bottom right hand corner. Sometimes I'll run polls to, usually every 2 or 3 weeks I'll run a poll to see what the viewers want to watch. Give you a couple options on what I play. So feel free to follow me if you're into that. I want to thank my brother. Raven's Eye Studios is his business. He cleaned up my overlay for me, made it look a little more professional. So appreciate that. He also does some tokens. You can get his custom tokens from Cardmagigs, which is, I think, CARDMAGIJS. So he has some custom tokens that you can buy from that website. Cardmagigs really has some pretty sweet tokens. I know he had done a 3D kind of hologram token. I don't know if Cardmagigs has started letting those. I guess I don't know if they've been printed yet for sale. So our opponent lost connection again, has just rejoined again. So I'm thinking we may want to be a little hesitant with throwing the Scavenging Ooze out any earlier than necessary. I do think we're probably okay to just keep pressing with the Lingering Souls. Opponent's apologizing for the... Yeah, maybe they just have a bad internet connection. They know it's common or something. Really not a whole lot of value in casting Traverse. We could just try and jam in for like 7 points of damage if we want to activate our Treetop this turn. Our opponent's going to be able to start taking out 2 soul tokens a turn with their Endbringer. So we probably just want to jam as many of those out as we can. We really need a way to make our Tarmogoyf bigger or to get rid of the Endbringer. Ghost Quarter, unfortunately, is going to hold the Treetop Village at bay. So actually, why don't we just go ahead and cast Scavenging Ooze now while we can. Did not mean to attack with Tarmogoyf there. That is a complete brain freeze. That's a sad one. Because on the plus side, it does allow us to eat it with Scavenging Ooze to maybe get Scavenging Ooze big enough to fight on the Endbringer. Opponent casts an Expedition map into Chalice, which would now make our Tarmogoyf a 4/5. I know it says 5/6 here, but that's only because it's dead. Smashing time. The opponent is not going to attack with Smasher. I think the fact that Endbringer... Okay, so that's actually a little aggressive. I guess since they're leaving the Smasher back, that makes sense. They did, however, tap out... Going to be able to keep attacking with 2 spirits. Fortunately, there's no value in Fire Up Treetop Village. I almost feel like at this point we just need to play out our Grim Flare. As much as I want to cast Lingering Souls, I think we have a better chance of winning by getting Scavenging Ooze a little bit bigger. Opponent still hasn't played their power plant we know about. So the opponent really... Oh boy. Another Endbringer, that's going to be probably game over. Ballista, same difference. Nope. Opponent had to sacrifice the Ballista, which allows the Scavenging Ooze to stay alive. Unbelievable. I suppose the Chalice on 1 does shut off the path draw. Maelstrom Pulse is phenomenal here. So I think we actually take out the Endbringer because that will allow us to keep on fighting with the spirits. And then we'll hope to get another Lingering Souls in the graveyard this next turn. Gosh, this is still our first match. Running out of time. Thankfully our opponent's down to just a couple cards. We know what one of them is. We no longer know what they have. We're about to find out. Another Smasher. be surprised for them to attack here. Save ourselves a few points of damage, make our Scavenging Ooze big enough to hold off their smashers while we hopefully can finish our opponent off with Lingering Souls. Tokens. So if we attack for 6 here and the opponent doesn't block, they can't attack with everything next turn because then we're threatening lethal, so I think we just press here. Even if they draw a 3rd Reality Smasher here, the spirits hold the opponent up from being able to attack for lethal. Actually, I think we need to just opponent's just drawing an Urza's Mind, so I think we go ahead and throw out another Lingering Souls here. That gives us lethal in the air next turn. Opponent concedes, we get there. Hooey! You know, it's funny, I play one of my buddies at work who plays this, and I feel like I just get run over every time, and yet in leagues I have yet to lose to Eldrazi Tron. Just crazy. Anyway, if you enjoyed the show, the next match in the league will be on the video link to the left. More matches for this deck on the right in terms of a playlist, and in the middle you can subscribe. Hopefully you enjoyed. Have a good night.